Hello, everyone. Good morning. Uh, I wanted to do a video about the chart of America, um, July 4th, 1776, at 5:13 p.m. in Philadelphia, PA, my hometown. That's where America got started. This is the chart, the most commonly accepted chart, with the current transits on the outside. But first, I want to talk about the main chart, and then we'll look at the transits. So this is America's birth chart, and it's really interesting when you break it down. America's ascendant is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is mutable fire. It's wild and free. It's, you know, this is where America gets its identity, and it's no wonder that things like rock and roll became popular in America with Sagittarius. In the early days, we had the Wild West. We have, the wild frontier, the wilderness of America, the parks, and the adventurous spirit. That's all very Sagittarian. Sagittarius loves higher philosophy. That's why things like freedom and liberty are so popular in America. Our amendments, the right to free speech, the right to bear arms, our just kind of like, American swag, if you will, just our freedom and our love of adventure and our wildness and our, that whole thing. It's all very Sagittarian. On the 4th of July, we celebrate with fireworks. That's fire. Sagittarius is mutable fire. And, that's the Sagittarian spirit is very much representative of America. Wild and free and freedom loving, liberty loving. All right. So that's our identity. Okay. So the America's sun is in Cancer in the 7th house, actually. And at first I was like, well, that's kind of weird. That doesn't make sense. But then I started to think about it, and it totally does make sense. 7th house is the house of others. And look at all these planets here in the 7th house, or close to the 7th house. 7th house deals with others, and America's sun in Cancer is very representative of what America stands for. We have the Statue of Liberty, where where all the immigrants from the whole world come in. We want to take in everyone, and we have representatives from every nation on the planet coming to America, because Cancer is the mother. It's a sign of the protector, and people feel protected in America more than any other country. They want to come to America for safety, not only for the American dream, which I'll get to, but for safety, for protection, because they know that they're going to be well taken care of in America more than in any other country. And that's very Cancerian. And 7th house Cancer sun is perfect for that. I forget, the huddled masses, and I don't know. I don't even know what that. We take in all the immigrants is basically what this is saying, when we take care of people, when we protect them. And Jupiter and Venus are here in the same Cancer and 7th house. Jupiter is conjunct Venus, and Jupiter actually is exalted in Cancer, and Jupiter deals with philosophy. So we have a very philosophical orientation towards taking care of people. It's kind of built into our ethics, our moral code, our moral fabric. That's very Jupiterian, and we're very generous about that. And that's why everyone wants to come to America. And Venus is here too. Venus is leisure and romance and arts and creativity. And it's just like, generally, we embrace that whole, the theme of taking in people, protecting them, caring for them. That's very strong in America, and that's one of the things that works very well about America, and that's one of the things that gives America a lot of credit, a lot of positive karma. This whole thing of bringing people together in the melting pot, as it's called, and caring for them and caring for people. You know, we're very strong. America is very strong on that front. And I think people all over the world recognize that. And there's no other place in the world where people can feel as safe as they do in America. Okay. While we're in the seventh house, we have Mars in Gemini. So here's where America probably gets a bad rap, is both, you know, feared and respected, and heavily questioned and criticized too, because Mars represents aggression. Mars is military. In this case, Mars would actively represent our military, and it's in the seventh house, close to the descendant. This is other people. In this case, other nations, military, other nations, right? That's, I mean, you couldn't have a better placement for that. Our military is all over the world. We have military bases everywhere. We're getting involved in every single military thing, and everyone thinks like that's our job. It's not our job, but if you can see the chart, it makes sense why. And it's in Gemini. Gemini is incredibly, Gemini is mutable air. So it's like you can't, Mars in Gemini is so maneuverable, so versatile, so like Mike Tyson has Mars in Gemini. That physically, that you just, they're everywhere, and that's our military. It's just everywhere. Gemini also represents communication. So if we're not actually physically getting involved, we are speaking up about it. All the world affairs, we're right there, aggressively speaking, because that's Gemini. Gemini, if you know what Gemini means, it's like the, in astrology, it's the one sign that never shuts up, and that's America with our military aggression. We're just all over the place with our might, with our force, getting into everybody's business in the whole world, speaking our mind, whether they want to hear it or not. We're there, we're everywhere. And what's interesting here also is that Gemini is mutable air, right? So, and Mars is aggression, military. And what's the symbol of America? The eagle, right? What's the eagle? It's air, mutable air, right? It's like the bird of prey. This is Mars in Gemini, very much personifies the eagle, right? So that's incredibly relevant right here. Let's move around a little bit. Here we have Saturn in Libra in the 10th house. And again, this is so representative of what America stands for. Saturn is law. Saturn is structure. Saturn is government. Saturn is authority. Libra is also law. Libra is the scales. Libra is the balance of scales. And the 10th house represents the career, the public image, the highest success. This is where the sun is at the highest in the day. So this represents the most publicly visible area. So the Constitution of the United States of America is seen here, Saturn in Libra in the 10th house, very prominent. The 10th house is ruled by Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn, so Saturn is very natural here. So this is a very strong position. And Saturn is actually exalted in Libra. So this really, we couldn't have a better position for Saturn here as far as authority and strength of law. You know, and that's one of the things about America, is that we have this very solid, strong constitution, which I think is actually a great achievement, a great piece of work. The Constitution is actually a wonderful forward step in humanity, because it is so fair and balanced. And if anything, Libra loves fairness because it's the scales and balance. So a really balanced law, really balanced authority. Our rule of law is not perfect, and we'll get to that, but it's as good as anything we've ever seen in the world, you know, if not the best. And our rule of law is very strong in America, and we have to follow the rule of law, because this is what we are. We're a republic. People think sometimes that we are a democracy. We're not a democracy in America. We are a republic. And a republic means rule by law. We're a democratic republic. So the democracy comes after the republic. We're a republic first. Republic means rule by law. And the difference being there is that in a democracy, the majority, it's almost, if it was democracy alone, it would be mob rule. the majority makes the call, and so the minority is not protected in a democracy. And that's very important to understand. Minority is not protected in a democracy. That means the majority calls the shots, not the minority. In a republic, the minority is protected as well as the majority. And that is why a republic is actually much higher, much more evolved political philosophy than democracy. Because, you know, for example, like the Salem witch hunts, that was democracy, that was mob rule. You know, the majority thought the witches were, you know, evil and they wanted to burn them at the stake. Well, that's mob rule, that's democracy. Democracy is not very evolved, and a lot of people throughout history have pointed this out. We just have confusion in modern society thinking that democracy is everything. It's not everything. Republic comes before democracy. A republic is much higher. In a republic, the witches would be protected. They would not be protected in a democracy. So this is very important right here. Saturn and Libra in the 10th house. Okay. Here we have the moon in the 3rd house in Aquarius. It's just outside the 2nd house, and it's just in between Pisces. So it's actually in a really interesting place because 3rd house deals with communication. 3rd house is actually ruled by Gemini. So again, communication, media, intellect, logic, short-term travel, Aquarius. So Aquarius actually is really good in the 3rd house because they're both air. So very intellectual moon. Moon deals with emotions. Moon deals with the inner self. So the inner self of America is very airy, intellectual, logical, ruled by Aquarius deals with technology and markets and market economies. And so this creates a very progressive, intellectual, technologically oriented moon, inner self. And that's what we are. We love our technology, we love our media, we love our communications, we love to be very logical and smart about things. And that's why moon is here and works well here. And I'll get into the aspects too. I just want to go around and cover these things. Uranus is in the 6th house in Gemini. So Gemini, again, media, communications, technology. Uranus does well in Gemini because Uranus, again, oops, sorry. Here, we have a better one. Uranus rules Aquarius. So Uranus brings Gemini and Aquarius together. That's very rapid technology development in the 6th house. 6th house deals with everyday work, what you do on a daily basis. That's why America is the home of technology. You know, all the technological developments. Uranus is the inventor, the creator. So we create so much technological advancements here in America. We invent so many things. Computers, you know, computers came from America. And all the modern technology. We have a very, very strong technological edge here in America, Uranus and Gemini. Right now, Uranus is in slow Taurus, and it's debilitated. So until America reaches Gemini, our technology is not going to take that forward leap, that giant leap. But when it does, watch out, guys. I mean, we can bet on that. Once it crosses over here, American technology will just world technology, actually, because these are world transits. Anyway, I digress. But back to America's chart. Here's the 2nd house, and this is interesting because Pluto is in Capricorn, where it is now. Hint, hint. We're getting to some stuff. It's in the 2nd house. 2nd house deals with material assets, values, worth, and Pluto being a planet of creation and destruction. This deals with America's business orientation and enterprise. we don't have the nicest orientation towards business, and that's what Pluto and Capricorn is. Because Pluto is creation, destruction, and this is an Earth sign, Earth house, and South Node is here in Aquarius, and these kind of tie together because South Node represents the past, and this is in Aquarius. So one of the things Aquarius represents is society, especially utopian or dystopian societies. But with Pluto and Aquarius, even though they're out of sign, they're in the same house. This represents kind of how America was created, where we had to destroy Pluto, the land. In Capricorn, his second house is ruled by Taurus. This is very Earth, land, and Aquarius, society that came before us, which was the Native Americans. We destroyed the Native American society, right? We did. I mean, they had whatever, not casting judgment, good or bad, it's just that they had the rule over America. We came, Pluto, in Capricorn, big boss Capricorn, not very nice sometimes, and destroyed second house, material assets and value, worth. We destroyed their whole civilization, but Pluto also rebuilds. So what happened? Pluto, Capricorn, we rebuilt. We rebuilt big. We have big cities and skyscrapers and business, our predatory business, but Pluto can be predatory. Pluto's not always very nice. It's Hades, essentially. It's the god of Hades, the god of hell. And it's very destructive in Capricorn, very creative in negative sense, potentially. And, so that's here. That's a very dark past, and it's no wonder Pluto is here. I'm going to get to the transits. We're about to reap our karma, guys. Pluto and Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn is how we got our start. Okay. North Node is in Leo in the 8th house. North Node is, wherever North Node is, that's where the obsession is. That's where individually or collectively, everyone is just craving, wanting, just pursuing actively. And Leo is, Leo's the king. Leo's our sun. The sun rules Leo. Leo's the king. Leo, the Lion King, that's because they understand that. So this represents ego, the individual, and we're pursuing, in America, we're pursuing the individual ego. North Node in Leo. We're pursuing creativity. Leo is very creative. Leo is very performance-oriented. America is very performance-oriented. We lead the way as far as like show business and all that. And just we're number one, America, yeah, all that, stuff like that. That's what this is about. But it's in the 8th house. So 8th house deals with dark and light. 8th house is a water house. 8th house is Scorpio's house. So the water houses are 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. 12th house is the ocean. So things don't really come out of the ocean. So 12th house is pretty much all dark. 4th house is opposite 10th house. 10th house is the daylight, the height of day. So this is the height of night. So things come out at night in the 4th house. 8th house is just dark and light. Things come out, things hide. It's both. So there's some secrecy. There's a lot of secrecy involved in the 8th house. There's a lot of egotism with North Node and Leo, but there's also some hidden egotism. Hidden. We don't know. We say sometimes the Leo comes out, the brightness comes out. Sometimes it hides. Sometimes we try and pretend like we're not number one. That's something. There's a hidden aspect of. There's hidden agendas, hidden egotistical agendas in the backbone of America. And Mercury is also in the 8th house. It's in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. Cancer rules the 4th house. So this also represents hidden communications, and it's retrograde, so that even furthers the deep inward quality. And if you know anything about America and its hidden agenda, its secretive, manipulative agenda, this makes so much sense because um, Mercury represents the media. The media is highly manipulative, highly secretive. They have a hidden secret agenda, definitely. And we have the military, which is also involved in high level communications underground. We have above ground communications, and then we have underground communications. This is our underground media communications, all in top secret, top secret. Our top secret, underground communications media. Yeah, it's so secret that it's like layers upon layers of secrecy. Like the people, even underground, they don't even know each other. The secret layers are secret from each other. It's just like tons and tons of secrecy. So that's very represented here. In the ninth house deals with higher education, philosophy, religion. It's ruled by Sagittarius and Jupiter, so philosophy and all that. It's in Virgo, and Neptune is here. So Virgo, Virgo is the perfectionist. So if you think about colleges and universities, Mercury is exalted here. So that means intellectually, America is really top notch with Virgo, the perfectionist. Our writing, our speaking, our education, our colleges, our universities, top notch because Virgo is the perfectionist. Neptune here kind of casts a delusional aura over the whole thing because Neptune rules the 12th house in Pisces, and Neptune has two halves. One half is the highest truth, the other half is total delusion. So in a sense, you can see that we place probably far too much value on education in America because of the delusional aspect. And furthermore, anyone who has letters after their name, I'm so-and-so, blah, 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 with all these letters, we delude ourselves into believing that these are truly experts when they may be and they may not be, because Pisces can be an expert, it can hold the highest truth, but it can also be total fantasy and delusion and deceit. That's Neptune's polarity. More often, Neptune represents delusion and deceit than the truth. But once in a while, it represents the highest, finest truth of all because it's 12th house, the final house. So anything Pisces related has that duality between total delusion, lies, deceit, deception, and the most refined truth. So a lot of times, the things that we find in the ninth house in America with higher education, philosophy, religion, it's just garbage. It's crap. It's just nonsense. And delusional stuff is taught in college all the time. This also represents our experts. A lot of times our experts are lying to us. They are just totally full of shit because everyone thinks they're an expert in America, and not everyone, but most people, a lot of people. We have a lot of experts, and a lot of them are full of shit. A lot of them are lying, and that's the truth of the matter. Virgo also represents medicine, and so in here in the ninth house, this is a very high level of medicine, but again, deception. There's a lot of medical deception. A lot of the pharmaceuticals, are purposely deceptive. Like they know that the stuff that they're giving to people is poisonous. That's Neptune here in the ninth house in Virgo. There's just so much bullshit in the higher levels. Politics can be seen here too, because politics is, political experts. All the experts are seen here. And we have so much bullshit in the expert realm. All the bullshitting experts, who are being very puritanical. They're coming off like, so we have this thing where the experts in America are just like, Puritan, like they're so refined and so like knowledgeable, and they think they're the best. And that's very Virgo with Neptune here, just like kind of this fakery going on. And there's some truth. We have very high-level experts, but they're few and far between, the real ones, the real Neptunians, the real essence of Neptune, the highest evolution of Neptune. Yeah, that's there. This is a very high level of expertise approaching the MC. But mostly it's bullshit. Most of what you're finding in America on high-level religion, philosophy, experts, the high-level experts, politicians, is just garbage bullshit. Just 100%. Like I'm telling you, I know better than most, and I could get into why I know that better than most, but I'm not going to here. But probably a lot of you already know that too. Okay. Neptune also deals with dreams. So this points to the American dream because it's approaching the MC, which is the height of success, and it's in the ninth house. So Neptune represents, one of the other things Neptune represents is like movies and fiction, storytelling. And so that's very prominent in America, like Hollywood and just success in general. Because this marks success and this is dream. So the dream of success is very strong for the American chart, the American identity. And it's the underbelly of that is North Node in Virgo. It's very egotistical, really. The American dream, people think it's some high value. Underneath this is this, North Node in Leo. It's just about the ego. It's about glorifying the ego. That's the secret agenda behind the American dream, right? So there's two halves of coming to America. One is the very egotistical American dream, which is bullshit for the most part. The other half is just the protection, just being protected, knowing that you are not going to be killed by your government, at least not outright. Here you might be deceptively killed by your government, but outright you're not going to be. And there's going to be protection. Like, Jews after World War II came to America. They felt very safe and protected. People in Central America or South America or anywhere else where they come to, where they feel like their life is in danger, they come to America, they feel protected. So that's there. Here in the fourth house deals with home, and here's Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is where we have our greatest pains. Our deepest, most painful wounds is Chiron, but it's also healing. The other side of Chiron is healing. So it's in Aries, representing the individual and home. So there's something pointing here to, I think, also the Native American plight, because they don't get much media attention. They're really ignored heavily, and they suffer probably. They're the minority in America that suffers the most. I'm not trying to detract from anyone or anyone else's suffering, but it's really, when you put it in perspective, the Native Americans have the hardest and most difficult time. And fourth house represents the home and the family and the past, the childhood, the growing up. So this deals with the past, painful past. America has a very painful past. Could also point to slavery, with the Africans, the way we brought them over, the painful past of America, the Native Americans and the Africans and the minorities, and the individual home life of the home life of America, right? The past, the poverty in America also. America, there's great poverty in America too, that's neglected, ignored, and this really doesn't get enough attention here, because this is a house that is not very prominent. It comes out at night. The homeless, we can see the homeless here too. So that's interesting. And it's opposite Saturn in Libra. So this indicates something that, mistreatment by the law, because even though this is very prominent and very wonderful position, the underside is that it's causing great pain. The law, our American law system, incarcerating Black people far too often, the way it treats Native Americans by law, you know, how it deals with the homeless. It's just, we can see that here. We get, let's look at some of the other aspects. Mars is trining the moon. That's a very harmonious aspect. It's not a tight trine, but it's there. And so American war is aiding the inner technological development of America. And we can see that with weapons, you know, war weapons. That, even though it's not very positive, there is a harmonious aspect, you know. Technology gets a boost from America's foreign interventions, right? What else? Here we have law and technology is in a harmonious trine. Air and air. It's not a tight trine, but you know, somehow our technological advancements is aiding our law enforcement, right? What else do we have going on here? Pluto is opposite Mercury here. So I think sometimes the inner communications, the underground manipulation, media is opposite our business sense. And sometimes business people go head to head with government communication, media manipulations. There's some opposition going on there. We can see that. One example, even though people hate Trump, he might be seen here with Pluto and Capricorn. Businessman is opposite the media, you know, because and he calls them fake media, which they are fake media. So these are opposite there. Okay. So that's America in a nutshell. I think I covered all the main points. And it's really, you know, I've been thinking about this chart and it makes so much sense and I love it. I love all the placements. They're so perfect. They're so wonderful. They just really make sense. You know, the good and the bad, because there is both. There's good and bad in America. We know that. There's creative and destructive. America is wonderful in some ways, and it's got really a lot of heavy negative karma too. Both. Like, I don't hate America, but I'm not blind to the harm it has caused throughout the world in the past and currently. It's both, positive and negative. All right. Let's look at the transits. I mean, these are the most obvious heavy ones going on right now. We got Pluto, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. Saturn deals with karma. And right now, we're approaching Pluto. America is about to have the Pluto return. I don't know exact dates, but Pluto right now is at 22 degrees Capricorn, and the Pluto return will be at 27 degrees Capricorn. I think that's a couple years off. But we're going to feel the effects more and more intensely through the years. And we're already, I mean, feeling effects with Saturn conjunct Pluto. That happened in January, preceded coronavirus. Coronavirus came right after this conjunction of Pluto and Saturn. And that also ties in with Uranus in Taurus. Uranus doesn't like being in Taurus because it's debilitated. Uranus is very progressive, technological advancement, and Taurus is fixed soil. It's like being in mud. Like electricity doesn't flow well in mud. That's basically that analogy. There's electricity, essentially. Uranus is the electric planet. It brings shocks, and it brings developments, and it brings awakening, and it brings advancement in technology. And in muddy Taurus, Taurus is far too stagnant and conservative for Uranus. So it brings kind of disease, in fact. I mean, this is disease can easily manifest here. Plus Pluto and Saturn conjunction. Pluto is the planet of creation and destruction. And Saturn is restriction. So it's a very heavy combination that I think that combination brought about the coronavirus. Plus in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is strong here. it's just such a heavy combination. I mean, my gosh. Plus Pluto, natal Pluto in America. So we're hit hard here, I think, in America with this. This is right now. So Jupiter does not do well in Capricorn because our natal Jupiter is in Cancer, and that's where it's exalted. Jupiter in Capricorn Jupiter doesn't like to be in Capricorn. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. But Jupiter is always a benefic, and it helps out even in heavy Capricorn. So it's without Jupiter here, it could have been much worse because Jupiter makes everything better. Jupiter is the great benefic. It expands things. It provides wisdom, abundance, knowledge, joy, wealth, exuberance. So it's helping out, so there's a positive note, even within the coronavirus, even with everything that's going on, even with all the riots. Capricorn deals with hierarchies and structures, and Pluto here is breaking down all the paternalistic, because this is the father, this is the Capricorn, the very, very, this is the sign of the father, and Pluto is breaking it down. We see that with the riots. I'm not for the riots. I actually, on a personal level, I'm against the riots, but from an astrological level, there's no morals in astrology. So from an astrological level, it makes sense that the patriarchy, if you want to call it that, the whole thing needs to be torn down. And that's what Pluto's doing here. That's what we did originally. We had to tear down the systems that were in place in America, and we did. The Native Americans had their own governing systems. They had their run of the land. It was what it was. It was very natural, primitive, if you will, but natural and connected to the earth, and spiritual in that sense, in the sense that they were connected to nature. It was harmonious in that sense, and we tore it down. Pluto destroyed that. And now it's coming full circle. Pluto is making its return. Pluto is destroying the hierarchies, the infrastructure that we built here in America. Saturn is resisting that, because Saturn resists all changes, and we're seeing that too with the resistance, where we have these two battling it out. The law versus the destruction, the law versus the chaos. That's happening now. And Jupiter is kind of keeping a watchful eye on these two, heavy, dueling, police and Antifa, if you will. There's Jupiter overlooking, being like, guys, play nice and be civil, and so there's a positive note to all that. Neptune is in Pisces. This is where Pisces rules. So Neptune, shows a very high level of spirituality, potential. That this is a time for great spiritual growth for many people. Many people are evolving, and there's this idea of the Great Awakening. This playing into that heavily. This also casts a very delusional spell on the whole world, and we see that too. We're just saying insane things with the media. It's in the third house, so this is relating to the media. Media is just media is just crazy. Media is just absolute garbage these days. It's just the dumbest, most manipulative, like stupid, even just nonsense, garbage. And we see both sides. Great time for spiritual development. Great time for communicating spirituality. The media, the internet. The Great Awakening. There's so many. You look on the internet, on social media, on YouTube, so much like really high knowledge is being spread, and that's Neptune in Pisces, and the other side is just the total delusion. People are crazy. People are insane. This also deals with drugs. And right here in Philadelphia, I don't know if you guys want, there's a show called Intervention. The last season of Intervention, it was all about Philadelphia, Kensington. and Philadelphia was called the heroin hub, and it was the worst area of heroin epidemic in the country of America. And so drug abuse is out of control here in Philadelphia, in the world, just in general, but um, especially, here in America, where drugs are a problem. Really heavy hard drugs are an issue, and that we can see that here. People are losing themselves to drugs, to alcohol, even to prescription drugs. That happened to two of my friends. They just, really went downhill from prescription drugs. Mars is in Aries. Mars is in Aries. Its home sign. Aries is the sign of war. And it's squaring Saturn. That's a really intense combination. I mean, that's very argumentative, very tempers are flaring. One obvious instance of this is the debate, the presidential debate. That was all Saturn square Mars in Aries, Saturn in Capricorn, Mars in Aries squaring each other. It was just so much tension, so much squaring off. A square is a difficult aspect. It's butting heads together, and that's what this is. And I don't know if you notice in your personal life, but it's very easy these days to get into intense arguments with people. And let's see how close it is to Chiron. Chiron's at 20 degrees, and Mars is at 23 degrees. So yeah, it's conjuncting Chiron. It's causing a lot of pain, this square, in America especially. And it's causing a lot of pain for the most vulnerable among us, the minority groups. We see that, and we're seeing war. This is a symbol of war, Mars and Aries, on vulnerability, on Chiron, and we're seeing it played out, hyped up tremendously in the media. The media is doing a terrible job of hyping up the tensions. Their media is absolutely awful. They're garbage. Mainstream media is just trash. It's just pure garbage. But there is real problems with going on in America. It's just the media is pouring gasoline onto the fire. They're really doing a horrible, horrible job. Because again, the deception, American media deception, the level of secrecy and manipulativeness, that's all water. That's all eighth house Cancer. It's too much water. Media, they're just their ability to deceive is just far too much. North Node in the 7th house. North Node is conjuncting, let's see how close. 22 degrees, 21 degrees. It's conjuncting Mars. Okay, I mean, this is for America. This is not for the world. I mean, this is the world transit. It's everywhere, but this is particular to America. In media, there's a media war. I mean, Gemini represents media. Mars represents aggression. The media is on the attack, like I've just been saying. North Node represents obsessiveness. And so this is like, battle of the words. And thankfully that it's, and it also indicates violence, because Mars is physical aggression, but it's also in Gemini, it can be either physical or verbal. So media aggression, war of the media, it's where all this fake news tension is coming from, but also real physical violence. And we're seeing that again. So I don't want to make this video too long. I think I covered the main points. We're seeing, this is just, so Sun is in Libra, drawing attention, shining the light on American law, the Constitution, the 10th house, the public, politics. That's really coming into the light. It's very strong right now. I mean, that's obvious with the presidential election and the debates. Mercury itself is in Scorpio, again, water. It's in the 11th house. 11th house deals with groups and networks. Internet is very prominent with 11th house. So Scorpio is, you know, dealing with dark and light, and you know, like social media is coming on very strong with control and manipulation and silencing people. But this is a quick transit, so that we're seeing more of that, you know, here and here, but even more so right now here. And what else? That's pretty much it. Chiron is in the 4th house, so again, amplifying the pain at home, dealing with individuals and minority groups, because Aries represents the individual and minorities as well, because of the parallel between minorities and individuals. Individuals are minorities, minorities are individuals. So I think that's what this is about. There's a lot of attention and pain and going on, and potential healing, because Chiron also heals. So at the same time as there's pain, there's also a lot of potential for healing the wounds of the individual, of the minority, the wounds of the home, of the past. Okay. Guys, if you like what you see, you can reach out to me for a reading. I'm going to do another video on the upcoming transits to come, because there's so much stuff coming out of here, but it's just too much to pack into one video. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, and that's such an exciting thing. And this is a prelude to that. I just wanted to touch upon this to show you, you know, where America stands right now in relation to everything that's going on. Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.